guys, so I am in the beautiful state of Virginia. Now I have made my way south from the northeastern United States, and I'm going along the East Coast. But Virginia is an amazing state. It's really cool for all sorts of different reasons, and one of them is the history. Now, if you don't know, Virginia was one of the original 13 states where the colonists settled when they came over. And so yeah, there's lots of famous people that you guys have read about in history books that were here at one time in their life a long time ago. And if you didn't know, again, the Civil War was actually fought here a lot. Over half of the battles were fought here, and to be around exact, about 2,200 battles, which is a lot, and there were 4,000 in all in our Civil War, in the American Civil War. And yeah, so fast forward to modern day time, there's just tons of cool stuff to do here because it's so big and beautiful and naturey. There's big hills with these trees. There's some grassy plains like this. There are lots of ponds and streams and all sorts of stuff. I've seen tons of wildlife already. Just to name like one or two, I've seen a marmot. I've seen like little brook trout swimming in the streams, which is really cool because the brook trout is the state fish of Virginia. Now, I've got to be careful of bears because I have heard that in this area there is a 400-pound black bear who likes to get into trash cans. So yeah, I gotta watch out for that, but I'm hoping to get to some fishing because you guys know I love fishing. Now, there is a very good indication for fly fishing. One is that I've seen fish feeding off the top, and two is, well, I've kind of disturbed these guys, but there are just tons of these grasshoppers jumping around. Now, that indicates that grasshopper flies are probably good to use because it's a known source of food to the trout and fish and whatever's in these ponds and lakes and all sorts of things. So it's good to test out that. I'll see what else works. I've got with me my trusty knife here. I've got my camel bag with dry clothes and all that stuff. I've got my normal open-faced reel that I use a lot, and I've also got my fly rod as well as my tackle box if I already didn't mention that. But yeah, there's lots of things to do, and another thing is hiking. Now, a really cool thing about Virginia is the Appalachian Mountains run through. Now, the Appalachian Mountains is a huge mountain range. It runs over 1,000 miles, which if you didn't know, that's very big. And there's a very big trail as well with the Appalachian Mountains, and guess what? It's called the Appalachian Trail. Now, cool enough, I am camped near the Appalachian Trail, so I might go check that out and see what all the fuss is about. But yeah, so I'm gonna get adventuring. The sun is going down. It's going to be prime fishing time soon. See what other cool things we can come across, show you all the beauties and awesomeness of Virginia. So, let's get adventuring. Okay, you guys, so earlier I was talking about how there's grasshoppers all over, and I'll show you where those grasshoppers were because I did kind of scare them and disturb them when I did my entry. Here's a nice one. I got these guys in Texas. They got big pretty wings like butterflies. But I also saw a green one. Woo, there you go, see, big pretty wings. A really big green one. You can see all these little guys hopping around off of every which thing. They're like their own little traveling bug circus. So funny. See real little teeny guys like that. But there also are some bigger ones. Like there's a medium-sized one. I hope you enjoyed my little grasshopper community. So while I was hiking, I came across this beautiful stream here. Now there's lots of these little minnowy guys. I can see them right now going around the little fly nymph that I have. I'll film them. But these are little trout. They may look like little minnows, but they're actually trout fry. And the big trout are hiding under rocks and tree roots in the shade, so it's kind of hard to spot them. But they are there. And what people will do to fish in this type of environment is fly fishing. And what these little guys will do in order to thrive in this type of environment is they'll sit swimming upstream like this, and they'll be waiting, and a bug or a little nymph will get disrupted from under its rock, and it'll get caught in the current, or a bug will fall from a tree and won't be able to fly. So depending on whether you're using a dry fly as a bug with wings, or a wet fly is more likely a nymph. But with this one, it's a wet fly, so it goes underwater, it'll fall in, it'll go down, and these guys will just catch it in their mouth. That's pretty much it. They got easy food. Or fly fishermen, in my opinion, particularly like to use dry flies because you can see the fish come up and strike, and it's a little bit easier to use, so it'll jump out the water and grab it off the top. But yeah, that's how they do it. And these little guys that I'm seeing are pretty small still, so they haven't developed much of a scale pattern or any colors yet, so I'm not quite sure what kind they are. They could be brook trout, which is the state fish of Virginia. They could be rainbow trout. They could be brown trout, all sorts of different kinds of trout. But they're a really cool fish, and since they're cold water fish, they like this moving water because it doesn't heat up, it doesn't become stagnant. So they thrive in this kind of environment, and they're a really cool type of fish. Okay, you guys, so I was playing around with my little fly, and I managed to snag a fish. Now this one is still pretty young. I'm not quite sure what he is. Hopefully he is a trout. I'll take the fly out of his mouth. There's some nicer sized ones here too that I had seen, which is really cool. There he is, real pretty. Woo! Mister, don't do that. But I'm gonna let him go because he is not very happy with me. There he is, real cool little fish. Hopefully I can snag a big one. Bye, little fishy. There he is. Put him in some deeper water because he can't get out of there. Ah, mister, put that. I'm trying to help you. Oh, he's being cute. Bye-bye. We'll let him get his equilibrium back in line, and he will be gone in minutes, or seconds. So, if you ever get the chance to hike along the Appalachian Trail, in particular in Virginia, it's totally worth it. Just make sure you're prepared. You know what you're going to go through. It's a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. I mean, just look at this beautiful terrain that you can cross over. You'll hit some nice views. You'll see tons of animals, because I've already seen some really nice white-tailed deer running down these hills, down by the streams and everything. It's really cool. But if you're hiking along the Appalachian Trail, one cool thing about it being such a well-known trail is it's very well kept. If you are walking and you're getting tired, then there's all these little campsites along the way that you can stop at. But you just pitch a tent like right over there. You got your log to sit on. You got the fire pit that you can roast marshmallows over. And if you come over here, you even got a little stream down there, which is cool. But what it is just to help preserve the environment, to keep people from coming and pitching tents wherever they want, because it does ruin the forest if you are a little tiny tree and you're growing and you're gonna get all big and strong, and then people just put a tent on top of you and lay down on you for the night. It's not going to end well for you. So yeah, these little things are made to just help preserve the environment and keep people from ruining all this beautiful green plant area. So, if you ever get the chance, hiking along the Appalachian Trail is worth it. Here's a little crawfish. Crawfish, crawfish, never fall first. Okay, you guys, so you might have seen me walking semi-carefully right there, and I'm gonna do something that I did as a little kid and that I still do as a slightly larger kid, and that is making something called Alecquariums. It's like Alec and aquarium, because when you're out hiking, you don't typically see half of the stuff that actually lives there, especially in these little water environments. Under rocks there will be snails, clams, snakes, frogs, tadpoles, crawfish, minnows, big fish, all sorts of really cool stuff. Like just walking there, it looked like a bunch of little bugs running around in the water, but I actually caught 2 slightly small crawfish. Now these guys do have pincers, so I gotta be careful. I'm gonna get some different ones for my main Alecquarium that these little guys go. But yeah, since they're kind of small, they don't pinch as hard. But they're like little tiny lobsters, as you can see. He's walking on my hand. And what they do in a defensive position is just swim backwards with that strong tail. See? Woo, he's so cute. But yeah, I'm gonna let him go and see what other things I can scoop up. And yeah, just show you guys what lives in this area, because it's really cool to see all the little things, because that's the kind of stuff I like to see. Oh, there was a fish jumping right there. I don't know if you could see. But yeah, so let's get Alecquarium making. So I've got some water here and just letting it settle. I grabbed some sediment from the middle of the river, so it's very fine. But that's just going to be the ground because it's what these animals are used to. And now for the fun part, to start collecting the creatures that will live in this Alecquarium. Typically you probably want to use a net, a fine net, like a butterfly net, so little water bugs and stuff can't slip out. But I don't have a net, so I'm going to go crawfish hunting and Alecquarium, all that stuff, with my bare hands and my muscles. So let's see what I can wrangle. So we've done pretty well right here for this little spot, but I'm gonna keep collecting these guys throughout the day and show you what the Alecquarium looks like at the end of the day. So let's keep adventuring. Okay, you guys, so I have got a little makeshift, I guess you could say, fly rod, in my case, that I have bullfrogs jumping, and whatever kind of frogs that I have configured. But I just took a downed tree branch, and I shaved all this bark off, just so when I'm fishing, bark doesn't fall in the water and scare the fish away. And then I took some normal monofilament line, and I had etched out this little ring around here and just tied in the normal fishing line. I went down and I used a double surgeon knot right here to connect the monofilament and the fly line tippet, and then I attached a little wet fly, and this little wet fly is meant to represent, here's a little piece of gummy bait, represent a little bug nymph that has been disfigured from his little rock that he was sitting at and gets sucked downstream. And lots of little fish like these. I've caught yeah, lots of little fish about 2 inches or so long on this, which isn't a whopper, but it's fun anyways. But since I'm using a wet fly, it does sink, and it's kind of hard to tell with this big bulky rod that I've made if there's a fish biting it, especially with the size. So I've got this little bobber, and yes, sometimes fly fishermen do use bobbers, not exactly this type of bobber, but I'm just going to attach this to the monofilament because it's a lot stronger than the tippet is. And I'm just going to attach this little So I attached the little bobber on there. Even with this bobber, it'll be hard to tell if something's biting, but it will go under if something's got it. Since this little thing is barbless, I've got to set the hook quick, otherwise the little fish will get away. But you can see it's got a bead to help it sink. It's very reflective and shiny, pretty. In my opinion, it'd be kind of difficult to tie this one. It kind of looks like a mayfly. You can see this little stringy thing on the back like mayflies have. But yeah, so a difference between a wet fly and a dry fly is a dry fly has more like a parachute Adams or an Elkhart caddis or something, so it'll float better, has more surface tension. And then a wet fly typically has a bead to help it sink, and it doesn't have any of that fluffy stuff. But either way, fly fishing is still fun. I'm gonna see if my makeshift fly rod here can pass the test. So finally, I found a really cool little thing. Oh no! So this is the first salamander I have ever caught. He's really cool. He's got little orange spots. I'll give you a tour of him. He's got some little orange spots on him, crawling around. Cute little face and a belly full of spots. Now these little guys, you can tell he lives in the water because he's got a very flappy tail like tadpoles do. But he's really cool. He's kind of like a lizard. He's damp, so I wet my hands before I touched him. He crawls around. But since this guy is kind of big, he's not going to go in the Alecquarium. But he is the first salamander I've ever caught. And I'm going to name him... What should I name you? Salposphorus. Yes, it's a big name, but he can handle it. Yeah, but he's getting annoyed with me because he keeps climbing. So he's going back in the water, you guys. Say bye to Salposphorus. Okay, you guys, so I just snagged the biggest fish I've ever caught on a fly rod, and it looks to be a largemouth bass. Now, man, look at this guy. But the grasshopper indication was good because I did catch him on a grasshopper fly. But man, this guy put up a fight. He was bending that rod like crazy. Just right there back in the shallows because I had seen something move, so I cast back there and he took it in an instant. And I had no idea he was this big because he didn't strike like he was big. But nice big jaw, and the reason he's a largemouth bass, how you can tell, is the jaw right here descends behind the eye. Very nice fish. Got a lot of these in Texas. Good fighting fish. They love eating grasshoppers and stuff off the top of the water. But thank you, fish. And he's going back in the water. Okay, you guys, my goodness, look at this beautiful fish. This is some type of sunfish, either bluegill or red-breasted sunfish. I'm not too hot on my sunfish, so forgive me for that. But man, look at that nice black little gill flap thing. Got sharp dorsal fin you need to watch out for. But this is the biggest fish of this species I've ever caught. So thank you, Virginia, for another record fish, or one record fish so far. But that vibrant chest color is amazing. It's just so pretty. Look at it. I'm just excited right now. My goodness. Thank you, fish, for coming in on that fly. But yet again, it's on the grasshopper fly. So thank you, grasshoppers, for giving me that indication. But now it's time to put this beautiful fish back. So after a long day of searching, I have finally gathered quite a few little creatures in my Alecquarium. So I'll give you a tour and let's check it out. So first off is the creatures that are sitting on the surface. Now these are all aquatic creatures. Sometimes I'll do land creatures like bugs. So here is the Alecquarium. Now you can see it's got some big and little things in it from all day. But the creek that I was looking around in for stuff is home to something called a James Spinymussel. Now it's endangered. Obviously, if I would have found one, I wouldn't have picked it up or done anything to it, but I didn't find one, and that's probably because there aren't very many of them left. But let's get looking through the Alecquarium. So first off, a small little leopard frog right here. Found it in the pond that I was fishing at. Cute little frog. But yeah, I'm gonna let all these guys go when I'm done. And these are all aquatic creatures. And then next are these little minnows. Now these little minnows aren't just any minnows, they are small fish. Now to give you a better view of what these small fish look like, I'm going to pick up the big one because they all are the same kind of fish. Quit that! But it's just a little sunfish, as you can see. There's a little one and a big one right here. Here's the big one, there's the little one. Oh no, mister, go back in the Alecquarium. But they don't want to be held right now, so let's go to a different creature. Let's see. There is, okay, I know what I'm going to try and grab next. Oh, this little frog is grabbing onto my hand. Get back in there. Okay, so here's the little crawfish. A cute little crawfish right here. So you can see he's climbing around. And he's been in there for a while, so he's going to be super happy to go back home. Here is a small tadpole. This is a leopard frog tadpole. I also saw some really big bullfrog tadpoles and bullfrogs, but those guys are too fast for me, so sadly I wasn't able to capture one for the Alecquarium. And here is a water bug. He's not doing too hot anymore. He's been in there a while. He was found in the pond as well. Weird little dude. There were some other water bugs, but they liked it better in the lake because they were bugs who like to swim around like really fast in big areas, so I figured I'd let them stay there. But yeah, I think that's about all the creatures in my Alecquarium. I do have some snails in there. If I can find them, I'll show them to you. So Alecquariums are just fun little things that you can make when you go out adventuring, and it just gives you an idea of what lives here and what's being eaten and what's eating other things. I also got some bigger fish, but those guys were too big to fit in the Alecquarium. And Alecquarium does not have to be called an Alecquarium. It can add your name in. If your name is James, it can be a James Aquarium. Or if your name is Marty, it could be a Marty Aquarium. And all sorts of cool things. But yeah, so here's my Alecquarium, and these guys are going back into the water. Good morning, you guys. It is a beautiful, happy morning in the state of Virginia, but I've got to get moving, so I've got to start packing up my tent. What an amazing place. I had a blast. I caught a record fish of a certain species for myself, my own record. I also caught a very nice bass, which I was happy about. So, had good luck fishing. Saw lots of animals. I saw like white-tailed deer, lots of little rodents, things everywhere, lots of grasshoppers, all sorts of cool little things. But there's just beautiful views here, lots of green nature, plant area, which is really cool. The first time I got to see the Appalachian Trail and actually be on it, so that was fun. But I have got to keep moving and make my way down south to the sandy beaches of Florida. Hopefully I will only hit good weather, so wish me luck, you guys. But until next time, stay wild!